Stockholm Syndrome is when hostages feel loyal to their captors and trust in them. You're doing it, I'm doing it, we're all doing it. Our captors have been telling us 3 different myths, and we believe these myths as if they're laws of science. The first myth says that welfare doesn't work because it creates too many leeches. The second myth says that people only push themselves for a profit, aka communists are lazy. The third myth is a pretend compromise. It says, okay, even if you don't like the idea of capitalism, it's just the only way to get growth and progress and new technology. I want to convince you these myths are all part of a religion, or at least that these myths are cages for our imagination, and we can pry the bars open. Myth 1. Welfare creates too many leeches to work. Margaret Thatcher, England's Reagan, said, "The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money." Alright, it's very clever, definitely feels truthy, but is it a scientific fact? No one ever points to serious research, but this has been studied. In the early 1900s, industrialists started getting all horny about the possibility of fine-tuning their workers to be more productive. Ever since then, there's been a whole ongoing field of productivity research. The papers are pretty boring, but one thing is surprising. The research is hiding a dirty little commie secret. The science shows something we wouldn't expect. It shows that companies with equally shared team bonuses are more efficient than ones with individual bonuses. How the fuck is that possible? Wouldn't people just slack off? They know they'll get a share of the group bonus no matter what they do. Isn't that the free rider problem? That logic sounds right, but it doesn't happen in practice for 2 reasons that will seem obvious after you hear them. There are 2 reasons things work better when we share prizes. One is teamwork. Most production is a complex, intertwined team effort. Regardless if we're working in a restaurant, a factory, a lab, or an office, we're making stuff as a team. It depends on cooperation, and team rewards get people working like a team. People go outside their normal duties to help and train other people. In contrast, individual rewards make people selfish. They make people focus entirely on their task and ignore the bigger picture. If things go really wrong, they sabotage the competition too. If everyone is producing the same thing, soup to nuts, without depending on anyone else or anyone depending on them, then individual rewards do work better. But this isn't how things actually get made. 2. Social pressure. When rewards are shared, people keep an eye on each other. Researchers studied a massive incentive program at Continental Airlines. They learned the employees started paying more attention to each other and even keeping each other in line. The employees started holding their own meetings to figure out the causes of delays. They checked if workers calling in sick were really sick. When pilots started causing problems, ground workers started being real dicks to them. There's a simple experiment that makes it super clear why shared rewards can be super effective. It's called the Kohler effect. First, you see how long someone can hold a heavy bar on their own. Then, you put them on a team with 2 other people. So now you have 3 people and they're holding a bar that's 3 times as heavy. What happens is the weakest person on the team will keep their part of the bar up longer than when they tried it alone. This effect holds up with shared mental tasks too. People try harder when they know others depend on them and when everyone can see how much effort everyone else is putting in. So what did we just learn here? When you reward the whole team, you can get better performance because you get better teamwork. And when people can keep tabs on each other, leeching kind of disappears. This is really interesting for companies that want to become more efficient, but would this work for a whole country? Well, we're all talking about how things need to change, so let's just be really crazily open-minded for a second. What if we could somehow divide the national GDP equally? What if we all had equal shares in the entire stock market? What if we could see more clearly what each person actually accomplished every day? Whose work would you want to check on first? Your coworkers, the CEO, your state senator? These clearly aren't the final answers, but we don't need to know where we'll end up to start exploring ideas. Myth number 2. People only push themselves for profit, aka communists are lazy. Let's look at the original communists, nomadic hunter-gatherers who are really aggressive about equality. When a hunter brings a big juicy kill back to camp, he cuts up the meat and very carefully hands out equal pieces to everyone in the band, which might be up to 50 people. He knows if it's not equal, someone will start ragging on him for being stingy or playing favorites. The custom is like extreme social welfare with a 100% tax rate. And still, these people value hard work. They actually have their own version of a Protestant work ethic. They'll only consider a man once he's made his first big game kill. When he makes that kill, the tribe performs a pretty brutal ritual on him. His dad slices into his face and chest and rubs a potion into the gashes. They believe this takes the lazy out of him. They say it gives him thoughts like, why am I sitting here lazily in my hut? Why don't I get up and go hunting? There's no individual profit to be made from hunting, and yet these people love hunting because motivation has never depended on money. When you unhypnotize yourself for a second, it's pretty easy to see that we don't need money for motivation. Where did Wikipedia come from? It came from the millions of people who volunteer as editors and contributors. They don't get money, they put in work because they enjoy it. They get community and recognition with all kinds of dumb little awards and badges. This happens with tenured academics and scientists too. They don't get paid in money for the articles they produce. They get paid in reputation and prestige in their field. They do it for social standing. Even CEOs do this. Okay, they obviously love money, but research shows that CEOs consistently take a 9% pay cut to work for companies that are publicly admired. You can see this in controlled lab setups. After you publicly praise the top performers on a team, the rest of the team steps up their performance. And then there's plain old personal motivation. Do legendary scientists push boundaries to get rich or because they're passionate about their work? The father of modern genetics, Gregor Mendel, was a monk. Nikola Tesla seemed more interested in pioneering new discoveries than making money on his past ideas. Marie Curie specifically chose not to patent the process she discovered. A lot of people have this sense that egalitarian communes are basic-ass places where people just get by without pushing too hard. And that's true for a lot of American ones that actually revolve around values of simple living or spiritual practice. But other communes have different reasons for being. Israeli commune businesses are more productive and more efficient compared to regular Israeli companies. And one of the world's leading irrigation companies is run by one of them. In France, a video game studio with equal pay has been making highly acclaimed and awarded video games for over 20 years. People go out of their way for all kinds of different reasons that have nothing to do with money and profit. To claim that ambition, innovation, and creativity all require financial rewards is to thoroughly misunderstand human nature. Myth number 3. Even if you don't like it, capitalism is the only way to get progress, growth, and new technology. This myth just straight up ignores the actual history of progress. Progress didn't all of a sudden appear out of nowhere when bankers started lending to merchants. The story goes back way farther, and it's more interesting. For 100,000 years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. We created spears, arrows, and sewing needles during that time, but it was slow. And then 10,000 years ago, we developed agriculture, and things took the fuck off. Farming let people stay in one place where they could invest time and materials into new ideas. With extra food around, they could build up denser populations, and with more people came more ideas. This happened in a few different parts of the world, but there was something extra special about Eurasia. It was here that people traveled easily and spread ideas, and that was crucial. In Eurasia, people borrowed and built on top of older ideas. They combined existing technologies into new innovations. Technology became progressive and exponential. This is why explorers landed in America and not the other way around. That didn't come from capitalism, that came from communication. And what kind of people do you think kickstarted it all through farming? It wasn't an entrepreneur who paid people to plow a field. It wasn't even a king commanding his subjects. Farming started with people who used the land as a community. It was actually a lot different from the kind of farming we're familiar with. It started in areas that would flood and then dry up, leaving super fertile patches in between. It was easy to put seeds in the ground that was just flooded and then let nature do its thing. But different areas were fertile, flooded, or dried out at different times. So it was pointless for anyone to try guarding or monopolizing a particular area. What worked was doing it communally. When we look at these sites of super early farming, we see settlements where the homes are all the same size. There are no palaces. There are no signs of material inequality or hierarchy. Those things do come eventually, but they come with invasions and conquest of a different type of people. The patriarchal, goat-herding, horse-riding warlords from nearby grasslands. We never needed tyrants like that whipping us to move things forward. Settled communities naturally did it on their own as a community. Let's review why we might not actually need capitalists to have nice things. Number 1, a pool of shared resources doesn't automatically breed a swamp of leeches. If everyone has a shared interest in a team effort, things can work more smoothly and efficiently. And if everyone can check each other's work, leeches can't really hide for long. We don't have these conditions in place right now, but nothing says we can't. Number 2, money is only one kind of motivation. People have always done incredible things for fame, respect, and just to make their personal vision come true. People will compete for status no matter what. We can give them our money or just give them our respect. Number 3, capitalism isn't the root of all progress. We reach new heights when we trade information, learn from each other's mistakes, and hold space for curiosity. We take off by colliding ideas faster and faster, like a nuclear reaction. Right now, we're on a leash, and we believe our owners when they tell us things would get bad if we tried changing them. And it's true, we don't have the answers yet. It's true we'll need to be careful and intentional about anything we change. But I think it's also true that we don't need to give our strongest people anything more than admiration. We don't need to deny our weakest people a life as beautiful as ours. So, does this help? Does it give us any guardrails for reimagining things? Does it mean that something different is actually possible and we can have nice things without having oligarchs? If you like this, please pass it along, because the algorithms sure as hell won't be pushing this kind of thing to the top.